Yo, what is up, guys? So I got something pretty cool to share with you. It's going to be a hero synchro slash link deck. However, one difference that this deck has that I think a lot of these other like hero decks don't really have is that you don't need to play Hero Kid. That is a huge deal with making these really good boards with a lot of these different Yu-Gi-Oh decks that have kind of like the same concept. But Yugioh over here, which sent me this pretty cool deck, actually has multiple negations per turn, and there's a little bit of variance to it. But ideally, you want to try to get out like these specific 3 cards, or just anything around these in general, because you have Zephyr Metaltron, which can like bounce back a card that was special from the extra deck from both players, which obviously after you activate the effects of some of these cards, you can do that really easy. And then of course you have Dark Law and Void Ogre Dragon, and you have Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. It's a very difficult board to break, and on top of that, he happened to have Imperial Order in this instance. But I want to showcase off a few plays of this deck, because I still think it is actually pretty dang strong. Now I want to say it is kind of an all-in first turn deck, because you are going to be paying half of your life points with a few of the cards. But that's okay if you're going to be making a play where you basically beat your opponent. So here we're making the Needle Fiber. We're going to search out an extra card, going for the Plague Spreader there. We're going to be making our Void Ogre Dragon. And then with Plague Spreader, once again making double Void Ogre Dragons. And he's got a Needle Fiber. He's got Imperial Order, Lost Wind, and Dark World Dealings here. I'm not sure how I feel about Dark World Dealings, but we'll talk a little bit about the deck profile in a moment here. Now, the problem that Void Ogre Dragon does have is you have to have no cards in your hand to activate this effect. It negates any spell or trap once per turn, but when you got 2 of them, you're negating double cards over here, and his opponent's not going to be doing too hot against this. This is a very, again, difficult board for a lot of decks to actually break. But I want to showcase it off over here. We also have Destiny Hero Plasma. That's another card that has some instant like game-winning potential here. You don't normally summon this card, but again, this is a really cool Hero Link deck that does incorporate Synchros, which is something that I really like because, again, you don't have to play Hero Kid. You know what's funny over here? He's activating the effect of the Overtext Coatlas, negated. Ash Blossom, negated. The Designated from the Grave, really good card indeed for this deck. But once again, a double Void Ogre Dragon and a Needle Fiber is pretty much going to seal the deal on majority of decks, just because you have options to go into something else, and then Coral Dragon usually will give you another card. But just being able to have like double negates is pretty strong. Now in this instance, had he had the option to Book of Moon and everything, yeah, that probably would have been game over for him. But he didn't have that option. But next up over here, see it once again. This is against the Orphagils. This is another newer archetype, but a lot of the archetype cards that like need to send things to the graveyard. I mean, Dark Law is still one of the greater hero monsters in the game that I think will still have a really relevant effect. Macrocosmos banishing everything, unless of course one deck technically uses banishing, like that Grenmaju Daiza deck that we just saw. But once again, making the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I feel like this deck has options for like double level 8 Synchros quite easy with, of course, Plague Spreader and Needle Fiber. That just makes things really simple and easy. He's going to go ahead and reborn his Needle Fiber. He's going to go into Galeta over here, but it's going to get its effects negated with, of course, Lost Wind. I'm going to go ahead, Crystal Wing, negate that, and that's pretty much going to be GG for him. I also was thinking about running Mass Change second in this deck if I was to play it. We'll talk a little bit about other cards that we can run during the deck profile here. But I just really like these kind of decks. It almost reminds me of just like the hero deck that people used to run with like Diva and stuff. Which was, it was something that was older back in the day when Deep Sea Diva was at multiple. And basically, you just incorporated a lot of double level 8 Synchros. And now with, of course, Needle Fiber, that makes things a lot much more common. And Metaltron still has a really good effect because, again, you're able to kind of protect your own cards here. We're going to go ahead and see him activate the effect of Class Spell. That's going to get negated. Void Ogre Dragon is going to negate the Brilliant Fusion. Pot of Desire is going to go ahead and draw him some extra cards. Magical Meltdown activated. Going to set the Sanctum over here, which more than likely is going to be negated by this. Probably should have activated as soon as his turn started so he can actually get the Sanctum effect off. But we do have a Solemn Strike. That's going to go ahead and negate the Void Ogre Dragon. Lancia going to be coming out over here. Armageddon Knight summon. Then we have Metaltron activating its effect over here. And we're going to go ahead and see a Plasma, which is going to equip a card, Snatch, steal the monster, and on top of that, this also skill drains your opponent's board. So, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, not going to be using his effect. But the random tech plasma. I remember when there was a Japanese deck that when he just played like plasma and plants, and like this is like a win condition on its own sometime. Really cool like hero deck. I want to call it like a Link Hero Synchro deck. But it's a pretty fun deck. Obviously, from the gameplay, there's a lot more options that you can make in this, but I like these kind of toolbox decks, and again, this was one that I really wanted to cover because, again, a lot of these like Link decks that I previously covered involved Hero Kid Isolde, which I think, you know, well, I'm not saying we don't have Isolde in the deck, but it's not going to be utilizing that, because sometimes with those decks, when you run 3 Hero Kid and you're running all those equip spells that you really don't want to draw into, you can run into consistency issues. Another thing I wanted to mention is I'm not a fan of Dark Hole Dealings. I would have just rather played Triple Allure in this deck because I don't like letting my opponent cycle through cards. But now that you guys have seen the gameplay, let's go ahead and go over a deck profile of this deck. So if you guys have any suggestions for this deck, I would love to know in the comment section below. But I feel like, yeah, pretty consistent to be able to get out multiple Synchro monsters, and then like usually it's like one of the Link monsters, whatever one it is. Zephyr Metaltron is actually really good to protect your Dark Law as well, if they were to get rid of it. But anyways, onwards with the deck profile. Oh, I also want to mention, before someone says, why is there not any hand traps in this deck? The reason why there is no hand traps in this deck, guys, is because you can't actually utilize them with Void Ogre Dragon. Void Ogre Dragon is the, I guess, kind of core card that you would be making with Crystal Wing, because most of the time they would get rid of Crystal Wing with some type of spell effect. But anyways, he sent me like this long, extensive like email here, and I kind of want to go over that while I kind of go over the deck profile as well. But he says he tested it 100 times. He says 80%, 81% of the time you can end up with Needle Fiber and 2 Void Ogre Dragons. 62% of the chance you will open up with or end with Metaltron, Void Ogre, and 1 Crystal Wing Dragon, which is the ideal play, in my personal opinion. Obviously, when you're able to get Dark Law in addition with that, that's actually really, really good. And he also said it's super easy to play. And then to counter the hand traps that they would be playing, he's running 3 Designator from the grave. And then it says the main idea is to send Deshrudo and Malicious to the grave. If you have 1 monster in the field, you can end up with condition A, which was the Needle Fiber and 2 Void Ogre Dragons. And if you have 2 monsters in the field, you can end with condition A or B, which is the Needle Fiber or, Needle Fiber and 2 Void Ogre Dragons, or you can get Metaltron, Void Ogre, and Crystal Wing. But anyways, the one thing that he said that this deck would lose to is technically Kaijus, which that makes sense because, well, you can't really stop Kaiju. That's a little bit difficult. But anyways, thank you, Guang Yu, for the deck. But onwards with the deck profile, I'll briefly explain some of the stuff because, again, this was like a deck that I really liked. It was called Diva Heroes. It's basically the same concept, but you reset with Plague Spreader and Needle Fiber versus just Diva into Diva. But I believe you cannot do that anymore. Deep Sea, oh, no, typing Deep Sea. Deep Sea Diva, I believe, is still at 1. So what you normally do is you'd summon another Diva with its effect, and it's almost like Plug Spreader and like Needle Fiber. It's a very similar deck concept, obviously for 2018 when you should modify some of the stuff. But anyways, onwards with the deck profile. So we got 1 Plasma, 2 copies of Deshrudo, 3 copies of Malicious, 3 copies of Grepher. This card actually allows you to do a lot in the deck. In fact, like I said before, I would rather just run more alert because, again, cycling through cards, and this card at the end of the day is still a neg 1 for you. I mean, yeah, with Malicious you can kind of circumvent the minuses. I also think that because this deck can go neg 1 anyways with cards like Dark Pool Dealings, I would rather have cards like Magical Mallet, simply because I feel like you don't really want Malicious. It was another thing that people were doing when Hero Kid was available. People would reset the cards. You can even maybe go for a Yugioh to kind of get around like the double Malicious. Or if you're bad as me, like that stream last night where I drew triple Malicious start of the turn. Still won the game, but yeah, it's very difficult, man. Anyways, yeah, 3 Grepher, 3 copies of Armageddon Knight, 2 copies of Shadow Mist, 1 Vion, 1 Summoner Monk, 1 Plug Spreader, 1 copy of Lure. This is where I'm like, I really think a 3 Allures would make this deck so much better. Then we have 3 copies of Hero Lives, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 2 copies of Dragon Shrine, got 2 copies of D-Draw, 3 copies of Dark Pool Dealings, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Mass Change, 3 copies of Designator, 1 Twin Twisters, 3 copies of Lost Wind, 1 Imperial Order, and 1 Solemn Judgment. Now, as far as the main deck, like I said, choices that I would have made, I would have played multiple copies of Lure. I would actually think playing multiple copies of Summoner Monk is totally fine, especially since you had dead cards like Hero Lives, which actually don't really do anything, and also Twin Twisters doesn't really do too much when you are going first. So I think those are those cards can be technically really decent. And then that can actually help him out make Dark Law, because he said his consistency was with Dark Law, then Needle Fiber, and Void Ogre, and Metaltron was 12%. This could bump that up to quite a bit more, because you have options for this to go into Greffer, to go into Armageddon Knight. You have just so many more options. I think Summoner Monk bumping this up to 3 and 3 copies of Allure can make the deck a lot more consistent. And again, I'm just not a fan of the Dark World dealings. But anyways, now that we've gone through the main deck here, I believe, I think we were talking about Summoner Monk. Yeah, I think multiple copies of Summoner Monk would be ideal too. And again, you can't really play hand traps. But yeah, I like the idea of like the 3 lost wins and then the double summons here. But as far as the extract goes, we got Dark Law, Zoken, Beals, Void Ogre, Crystal Wing, Black Rose, FA Dawn Dragster. We've got Coral Dragon and TG Wonder Magician. These are basically just cards that you can just get extra like draw power. But this card also definitely pops Spell Trap. And then also this card on the field destroy, you get a draw a card anyways. Then we got Tornado Dragon, Castell, Metaltron, Sold, and Needle Fiber. Really important for, of course, this deck. Again, this reminds me of like the Deep Sea Diva Heroes that was really popular a while back. Back in the day. Even like Zombie Heroes was pretty popular back in the day as well. But anyways, that's a really cool deck. I like it. So shoutouts to you, Mr. Guanghu. But anyways, let me know, guys, what you thought of it. If you make any changes, let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to see more cool Yu-Gi-Oh decks like the Hero Link Synchro deck with no Hero Kid. Again, that was really important with this one. But anyways, if you guys got any cool and innovative decks, I'd love to see them. Send it in to azneyesreplays@gmail.com. It could be featured. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Have a good one. And I am signing out.